had. We need strong demand, quite frankly, from U.S. companies for domestic and allied critical minerals, and especially rare earths, to support a strong industry that is not dependent on imports from China. Would each of you agree that creating domestic demand by statutorily limiting critical mineral purchases from China could be a good way to ensure U.S. industry and investors have the stability that they need to invest? Essentially, buy U.S. or our allies first, China only if nothing else is available. Anyone want to start?
Yeah, I can start. I'd like to just refer to your original comments here about looking forward. I think that's critical. We've got to look where we need to be 20 years from now, and that's why investment in alternatives we think is critical, right? It's not going to be the solution for everything. It's all hands on deck right now, but our technology has a potential to have very significant higher performance levels and, be the magnet technology of choice for the 21st century, not the 20th century. And so critical to invest in those alternatives and look at what do we need in the future for many of these emerging technologies. And we've seen the emergence of AI, and there's a lot of data centers that require a lot of magnets to move the air and liquids that cool those data centers. But there's a lot of emerging applications here in robotics, humanoid robots, even in drones that'll become the kind of physical manifestation of AI, and those use a tremendous amount of magnets. And so it's critical for us to invest in those technologies to be able to make sure that we can support them and grow them here in the U.S.
Thank you.
I'll just say yes, incentivizing and rewarding American companies for producing American-made products is a very good idea.
I would agree.
Thank you. And Mr. Rowantree, what is the timeline, essentially, that you think, if we were to actually invest the kind of capital that we are talking about, to be able to look at alternatives to replace rare earth minerals, what kind of capital are you talking about, first of all, and how quickly could we actually get this done if we did the moonshot to have this alternative to Chinese rare earth minerals?
Yeah, for magnets in particular, and for our technology, it's several $1 billion that's going to be required to move the needle. And so we're building a 1,500-ton facility right now, but we're also currently in state selection mode for a 10,000-ton facility, and that is going to cost us, between $1 and $1.5 billion to build that facility. So, when you look at the investments required, we're just solving for magnets, but there are many other critical minerals that we need to solve for. But I will say that it takes time, right? It's taken us 12 years to get to a point where we're commercializing and scaling the technology, because developing new technologies takes time.
So I guess you would also agree that in addition to the capital that's required, we need to start investing in the R&D, the workforce, the innovation, all of these different things, as was mentioned earlier, recruiting the very best and brightest that's going to help us come up to alternatives to what right now we're completely dependent on China to import in. I have just a few seconds left, but would like to ask all of you, right now we're literally shipping all of our e-waste to China and to countries, quite frankly, that are easily manipulated by China so that they can extract a lot of these critical and rare earth minerals in processes that are very environmentally unfriendly, and then be able to take that back to China. Should we ban exporting e-waste, given we know that the technology and the value is there to recycle and harvest critical and rare earth minerals from our electronic waste that we have right now? Is this a potential strategy? Are we literally shipping off critical and rare earth minerals to China, given that we really don't have a robust recycling mechanism here in the States?
Yeah, so I think this is one of the other alternatives that has to be looked at and explored and supported. There are companies out there trying to do that, but there are challenges with separating post-consumer recycled content to separate those minerals, as you mentioned. So I think they need to be explored, and part of the innovation support you mentioned, they need to be looked at as one other potential solution here to limit our dependence on China.
But would you not agree that at least for now, minusing the technology and the processing facilities, we are literally shipping out from this country critical and rare earth minerals back to China or many of their friends and allies that ultimately will allow them to recoup even more of the critical and rare earth mineral market?
Yeah, so I think there's definitely opportunity. There are companies out there that are already starting to look at this, but they need to be supported. I don't think they have all the solutions and have scaled yet, and that's, again, back to the investment needed to be able to do that.
I would agree, and I'd add that the pricing for that, like black mass, is actually controlled by China as well. So they control the demand, they control the supply, and it makes it difficult for companies with innovative technologies in the US, even in Europe, to actually compete because the price floor is so low.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.